We'll call the meeting to order. And the first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd all stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
and flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item, we don't have any approval of minutes for tonight, so we'll table that for another time. Next item is to accept the agenda. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved. I'll make the motion to approve, to accept the agenda as submitted.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Seconded by Lou.
Mike
Who seconded?
Mike Pelton.
Thank you. Thank you. Any changes, errors, or omissions? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The next item is communications and correspondence. I know we're working very hard on the November 3rd, 2020 election. I had said I would put this on every agenda going forward in case our town clerk or registrars had any information. I'm going to ask Kevin if there is any report tonight from any of those individuals. Ryan or Athena or Pauline? Okay. Okay, so no report tonight, and we'll continue to keep that on the agenda to keep everyone informed. I will inform the board as well as our listeners that the absentee ballot application forms are available on the town's website. They're also available on the state of Connecticut's website. In addition, the plan is that the Secretary of State will be distributing absentee ballot applications in the middle of September. But you don't have to wait for that. You are able to get your application in. You complete it, you can put it in the box that's right near the door to the town hall, near the flags. And on or after October 2, there will be the ballots for the November election available. Remember, everyone, it's a very important election with our presidential ballot on the election ballot, and that's November 3rd, 2020. If you have any questions, feel free to call Town Hall. Next item, we're going to have April Graves, who I think is on, give a report, if she could, on racial equity, diversity, inclusion. Hi, April.
Hi, Susan. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Good evening, everybody. So the coalition has been very busy. We've been continuing our bi-weekly meetings. And I know a lot of people think that the coalition is simply based on racial equity issues in town. However, we are the Portland Social Justice Coalition. So we have been addressing other social issues in town also. And one of the other social issues we've been talking about has come about from the storm, where it was brought forth that, you know, socioeconomic issues play a lot in
1 minute, April, I'm not hearing you. Can you hold 1 second? Kevin?
Hello?
That's better.
Okay.
If you could just repeat.
Okay, so we, after the storm.
Oh boy.
Students receive free or reduced lunch. So there is a lot of food insecurity in our town. So one of the initiatives we've been looking into is working with other civic organizations to have a volunteer program to expand upon our already really good food pantry. And there's also the free little pantry that operates. But it was brought to our attention by several people that the way that the food bank works is it's Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 12. So that makes it very hard for working families to access the food bank. So we're going to be working with those groups. We have a letter we've prepared to reach out to other organizations such as the Knights of Columbus, the Lions Club, the Exchange Club, to see what we can do and see if we can gather volunteers together to maybe be able to expand the hours of operation or have a different kind of
Lost you, April.
committee that you're going to be putting together. We look forward to seeing that. What we found during our time with our meetings and our discussions with people in town are there have been some really great initiatives that have been brought forward, researched, and then kind of, you know, volunteers fall away, and the push to continue them sometimes doesn't then follow through. So we're hoping that the task force will be the catalyst that will get those programs implemented. So we're really looking forward to that. And it's really great to see our town and how anytime there's a need in our town that so many people come together and reach out and volunteer and offer to help. So we're just trying to bring that all together, you know, a community kind of conversation, bringing all the different organizations together to try to organize as many volunteers as possible and find those little things that are missing in between. Like we had the great lunch program this whole summer through the Board of Ed, and then it came to our attention at the end of the summer that, you know, some people couldn't access it because of transportation issues during the day. So that's the kind of thing we want to be able to find a network to be able to identify that where people can reach out, because, you know, any one of us could have helped out, and there's so many people that would have been willing to help out and help those families access that. So it's just trying to find a way to become a basis for that, where people know there's some place you can go, you can reach out, you know, plenty of people are here to help. So that's really what we're working on right now.
That's excellent. Great report. Any questions for April tonight?
One quick one I'd have for April. With respect to the food bank, we have been coordinating some volunteers that have been delivering food when it's needed to different areas of town on Mondays and Thursdays. Do you know roughly, I mean, and this is something we could probably talk about offline, but trying to think, is the issue that people can't get there during the day because of either childcare, or is it work, you know, is it a working issue where, you know, people aren't home? Because if people are home, but they got to stay with kids who are in school, etc., that may be a way that we can try to help with that. But if people aren't there, we obviously wouldn't want to leave food outside for an extended period of time.
Right. So what I've heard is it's more of they're at work, so they're not home during that time to access that.
Okay.
So maybe some afternoon hours or a weekend day that could possibly be there for them to access the food bank.
For a good chunk of the summer, we were, the food bank and the volunteers were working on Monday afternoons, and they were doing it like 4 to 6, so that people could do drive-by. They could call, they could place orders, they could come by, they could get boxes that were pre-filled, etc. And it was open to everybody. They've just, I think, reverted, well, a few weeks ago, they reverted back to the what has been the more typical Monday, Thursday schedule. But you're thinking maybe something in the afternoon like that would be helpful?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the thing too that we're really trying to work on, is getting all that information out there so people know, like, oh, there was the drive-through one going by.
Absolutely, that's always that's the toughest part.
I do want to point out 2 other things about food availability. I talked with Ruth Mayo, our food bank director, today, and there will be, at a future date soon, weekly deliveries of dairy products. And that will be on Thursdays between 9 and 10 a.m. And I believe that's part of the Food Share organization. So that will become available. There'll be more information coming out on that from the food bank. And together with Christy Carpino, we're working on another food from farms to families program with the USDA program that's sponsored. And that will again be out of the Cromwell Firehouse, and I'll be coordinating with Ruth Mayo, as well as several of the churches in town, to make sure those boxes of fresh produce go to families that can use it. So I thank you, April, and we appreciate your reports, and we appreciate the breadth of the work that the Social Justice Coalition is doing. As you pointed out, you're filling gaps that we've had in our community, and it really adds to the wonderful cooperative spirit that all of our organizations have that work together toward everyone having a good, peaceful, and fulfilled life. So thank you very, very much. We'll go next to public comment. Kevin?
There's one public comment, Mr. Dave Murphy. Let me find in the list here. All right. Dave, can we hear you?
Yep, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Yes.
I just want to make a quick comment because I look every once in a while onto the planning and zoning agenda, and I know you're not planning and zoning, but I'm very concerned as a resident because, you know, Bob Shea can probably jump in here because we're going through a major renovation on that salt shed area around the corner by my house. And that facility over there was originally going to be just a mixing facility where the trucks came in, mixed it, the trucks go out. Their application now is going for a 2.1 acre salt storage area. That's 2.1 acre. That's a 91,000 square foot facility, which I was on the last call when they came in. They went to store 150,000 tons of salt, and a neighbor there estimated that would be 15 to 20 trucks a day going in and out there. So the two concerns I have is, number one, the amount of traffic. Number two, do we really want to store 150,000 tons of salt in our town? And I know you'll probably come back, like the planning and zoning said, you know, DEP will have the final sign off on that, but we're already going down that path. And I just want to make sure you're all aware of that.
Any questions for David? That is, I believe you're referring to application that is on Route 17, not the area that's owned by the town, which is on.
No.
I just want to clarify that.
I know we're going through hoops now to kind of get that up to the standards for the state because, you know, I've heard in the past, I don't have any qualifications that, you know, our water has high salinity. And I know that Jim Tripp's talked about going back to our wells and aquifers maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the road, that this is something we may want to take a really deep look at before we let this thing go. So just my opinion.
Thank you, David. And for sure, contact the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. But I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
There's no additional public comment at this time.
Okay, there is public comment later in the meeting as well. So we're going to move on to old business, and racial equity, diversion, and inclusion is something on our agenda. And I have a simple announcement, and that is in terms of the task force, that we passed the resolution creating the task force last time, the Task Force on Solidarity. And I'm asking the selectmen to be prepared for September 16 to make the appointments to that committee. At this point, the task force is 5 regular members and 2 alternates. You can expand that if you think that's appropriate, depending on how many volunteers we get. So if you could come prepared for September 16 to make those nominations, and I'll encourage every one of our listeners to put their name forward. You can either contact Selectman directly, you can contact me as well, or Michelle in my office, and we'll be certain that your names are shared with the Selectmen before those appointments are made. I also had it on the First Select Woman's Facebook page, and it was also a nice article in the River East this past week that gave some information not only on our efforts, but also on some efforts that Sustainable CT has made over the past several weeks. So thank you, everyone. The next item is the STEEP grant. And you have a resolution in front of you on that. If we have a grant that we are receiving that we have to contribute more than $10,000, we should have a special town meeting. It brings attention not only to the need to make these matches, but more importantly, it brings attention to our constituents as to the hard work that we do to get these grants and how important they are to our community. So the STEEP grant, you'll recall, is to replace the water main on Brownstone Avenue. And the state is going to be providing us with, if we're successful, and we should hear, by the way, by September 14, whether or not we have the grant. $128,205 in a grant, and we will be matching it with $293,655. Those are always approximations, but we want to bring your attention to that. So Bob, I don't know if you want to add to that a little bit about why you and why we put forward this application. Thank you. Bob
So
Shea.
good evening, everybody. Yeah, I think it's a critical, it's just a critical repair that we need to make in town, and we've been struggling for, well, since I've started to try to come up with funding and get to that number that's going to replace that very old and aging pipe that probably makes up, over the past few years, over 75% of our failures in that area. So it's old asbestos. It needs to be replaced. It affects not only our sewer plant, but all our commercial businesses down in that area. When we do have failures, it costs the town an awful lot of money in water and overtime and repairs. And I think that it's a high priority. I think this is a great way to get some assistance through STEEP to get us to that end goal, which with the help of Tom, and we've kind of made that happen, I think, with available funding in capital. It'll get us to that end goal, and I'm hoping that they look at this as a very critical health as well as a good infrastructure improvement, which will improve not only the quality of the water, because it'll be in a much newer pipe as well as not in an asbestos pipe, and it fits the criterias that they're looking for to make it, what we're looking for, as well as the STEEP grant. So I think overall it's a win-win. I'm hoping that they look at it as critical as we do, and we're able to get that funding and move forward with that repair.
Any questions? Okay.
Yeah, I do, Susan. Bob. This is for Bob Shea. So this is only for the water. The sewer lines are all set?
The sewer line is one of our main trunks that goes to the plant, and that is all set, Mike. That's pretty secure. We've not really had any problems with that. That's a big main down there because that's the main trunk that goes into the plant. So, you know, the design portion of that had a lot to do with the sewer line and where it is, and we're hoping to, you know, move that engineered to the other side of the road, which is not going to affect the existing pipe. We could stay in operation until we tie in, very similar to what we did with Spring Street. And it's going to repair, you know, about 13 or 1,200 and change of a very old, damaged pipe that has a ton of repairs and clamps and miscellaneous parts on it. So.
And will CNG be contacted to see if they're going to want to run the rest of the way down Brownstone Avenue?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be.
I believe they stop about halfway down.
They did. Yeah, so we usually, when we do any road work that might involve any trenching for probably, you know, a distance as such as that, we certainly will contact them to see if they're interested, you know, in doing something that might be close to the trench, or, you know, taking advantage of what we're doing there. Now, there's a lot of process there with DOT. We have to, you know, there's an encroachment portion of that goes under the bridge that the state owns. So, you know, we'll be working with them to go through that particular area that is under the bridge and to get outside from Lower Main Street and into that area. But the pipe will run and be replaced just down past the water wagon, you know, the home base there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What we need tonight is to bring our board's attention to the draft resolution that will be brought to the special town meeting. The decision for moving this forward is the Board of Selectmen's, but the ultimate vote will be that night after the special town meeting. And we'll run the town meeting similar to the way we ran the one on the Eversource grant. You remember the LED lights and some other special town meetings that we've had. We are not having the public in our buildings for the meetings, so we'll invite the public to come to the special town meeting by way of Zoom, and we will have the meeting, and then after sufficient comment and hopefully some discussion by our constituents, the selectmen will then close the special town meeting, and the selectmen will then vote whether to accept the steep grant or not. The effort is to, again, as I just want to reiterate, to get the word out to people so that they'll see it in the newspaper and they can attend the Zoom meeting. And they've heard the discussion tonight as well as last time when we met. So with that, I would entertain a motion for a suggested special town meeting to be on Wednesday, September 16, 2020 at 7 p.m. by way of Zoom. And I would be here along with our town clerk to administer that meeting along with the moderator. Is there a motion to that effect of the September 16 at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, Susan, this is Jim. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rick Shar. Any further discussion on the resolution that's been drafted? We will be putting this up on the website so people can review it prior to the special town meeting. And it has in it, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a lot of words, but it does make reference to Governor Lamont's special accommodations for the ability to have the town meeting in the way that I explained a few minutes ago. So to reiterate, it's a $128,205 grant that we are hopeful we will receive word on or about September 14. So the town meeting would be to accept that grant should we get awarded, along with the town match, which is $293,655. So if you're in favor of holding that special town meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter C under old business is assistance to firefighters grant, another special town meeting because we anticipate a match that will exceed $10,000. I want to congratulate our fire department and our fire chief, Bob Shea, in being successful in getting this highly competitive grant to assist us with the special air packs for our firefighters. These are very competitive grants and they're through FEMA, and we should be very proud of our award that we have received. It's approximately $208,000. We had hoped for more always, but we were granted $208,720, and I've invited Tom Robinson as well as Bob Shea to explain to us a little bit about the total cost for these air packs, how the grant will assist us, what the required match is, which is 5% of the grant, and then additional dollars that we anticipate will be necessary. So maybe we could start with Bob with an explanation of the grant, and Tom, if you could give us some further information on the finances, that'd be great. Bob? Can't hear me?
No, he needs to be unmuted. He says he.
Got
It's muted. There he goes.
Yeah, I was able to do that a minute ago and I couldn't do it anymore. So thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so as you're aware, for a number of years now, the fire department has been working to fund projects through FEMA to offset the cost, not only our taxpayers, but the overall budget. And we've been very successful for the 19 years that I've been fighting for money to equip our firefighters, our volunteers with the critical safety equipment that we need. This year, we applied for 2 grants. One, we were unsuccessful for our 3rd time. So I think that one will be an issue moving forward. But we were very happy to receive a grant for $219,156 for the replacement of our SCBA, our air breathing apparatus that we use to fight structural fires. So critical. Our existing packs that we're using were awarded to us through a FEMA grant in 2005, which I was part of. And this is a version that much newer, because those packs that we're currently using right now will be non-compliant within about 1.5 years. So this is a wonderful win for us in the town, as well as our volunteers, to keep them protected with the most updated equipment that we can provide. The grant, although complicated, we're still working with our partners who would supply these air packs, our regional partners as well, that we will work with to be able to, on a mutual aid basis. So it's important that our packs are compliant with each other so that we can work together on a fire scene. And that was one of the reasons, and one of the main reasons why we applied for the grant, because other surrounding towns around us have been successful enough to update their existing SCBAs or their self-contained breathing apparatus. So we want to make sure that we're able to work with them and have them work with us safely. So this is a great win. We still need to work out the financial part of it, because we applied for a little more money that was granted to us. And that is all related to FEMA and how they cap certain equipment as far as price. So our equipment, that being a little more expensive than the average that cap that they use, the grant came in under, about $46,000 under, but we're working with our partners to bridge that gap substantially, so that the current match of 5% is what we're required based on the funding that we've been awarded. And we need to work on the gap to be able to make sure that we can still get the 31 packs that we're required to have to operate. And you know, what additional money might be needed to make this happen out of whatever fund that may be, most likely my operational budget that I run, you know, this year that's already been approved. So, you know, we'll get to those numbers a little later, but we've had good success today, kind of bridging that gap quite a bit. So we're getting close. But it's a wonderful grant. We're very pleased that we were able to put this together and have them take a close look at it. And we were awarded so early in the process of the grant awards, the first section that came out, we were a part of. So we thank FEMA for that. I can't thank Nick Dijon, who has been helping me write these grants for the past few years. I really needed someone to assist. The grant process has become very competitive and very lengthy. Nick, who's come to us as a volunteer actually from Middletown, has kind of taken the role of taking all the information that we gather and putting that in the system for us, and kind of taking that labor intensive part away from us. So thank you, Nick. He might not be listening, but you know, it's a whole group of us that work on this to put this all together. And I'm very happy that at this stage, after 19 years almost as chief, that we're able to put another award on the table that's going to benefit and really make an impact on the safety of our volunteers.
Thank you, Bob. And I want to point out too that we did have letters of support that were sought, and we received from Congressman John Larson and Senator Chris Murphy and Senator Dick Blumenthal. So we thank them for also their support of firefighting, and we know how important it is for the safety of our firefighters and their ability to keep all of us safe. Tom, did you want to make any further comments on the finances?
I think Bob was very insightful on the award. I think anytime you get an award from an organization like FEMA, you try to do your best to take that award and utilize it. So I think we do have that required match in this of the that's noted in this. of 10,436. Likely based on the reviews and the information that Bob's been working through with the vendors, there'll be some additional funding needed in that. We do have a little bit of additional funding in the capital we had set aside. So we have a little bit there, and as Bob said, the remainder would likely come from the operation budget in the fire department. But this award just recently was given to us. We need to get the match approval out there, and get this so that we can accept the award.
What I might recommend to the selectmen is that within the resolution that you have that will go to the special town meeting, in after paragraph 4 identifies that the town of Portland will need to provide a match of 5%, amounting to approximately $10,436, which is set aside in Fund 8 Capital Non-Recurring Fire Department. And I would suggest that we add, before this resolution goes to the town meeting, another whereas, and it would read, whereas there will be a need for additional dollars for purchasing the breathing apparatus, so that as we have the discussion at the special town meeting, people will know just what we talked about here tonight. And I think if we determine tonight that we're going to go to September 16 at 7:15 p.m., that we will have some additional information at that time, but it is critical that we get the award accepted, and that in order to get that particular award that's been given to us by FEMA, the requirement is that we have this match of the $10,436. And per our charter, we're to go to a special town meeting. Again, to let people know what we're doing, to let them know how important it is that these grants are available, and that this match is going to be given in concert with the federal dollars that we're receiving. So with that, I would entertain a motion for a special town meeting to accept the FEMA firefighter grant breathing apparatus and bring it to a special town meeting on the September 16 date at 7:15 p.m. And it would be by way of Zoom, similar to the previous one we just talked about. Is there a motion to that effect?
Susan,
No, go ahead.
Susan, this is Lou. I'll make that a motion to go forward with the firefighters grant to help purchase those breathing apparatuses.
Thank you, Lou. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Either Rick or I take you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Go ahead, Ralph. You can have this one.
Ralph made the second. Okay, further discussion or questions, comments on the grant? There being none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, Bob, and thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Update on the proposed land swap with Exchange Club of Portland, and I think Lou Pear has an update for us tonight.
I do. We have good news. It's been a while since we've talked about this, and we have good news. I would say for the last 5 days, Susan has been on the phone and on email back and forth with Jacobson, our attorney, and George Law, who's the attorney in town, but also is a member of the Exchange Club. What we've done so far is that those people have been in concert conversation to talk about the geometry of the maps and also the meets and bounds and any other language that deals with an easement, where there will be an easement so that the Exchange Club can use the road and the entryway, but the ownership of that road and entryway will be borne by or will be owned by the town. The good news about that is that it also aligns with the plan of conservation, because if in fact we own the entryway, we own the road and we own the adjacent property to that road, which also is adjacent to a piece of property that we own that's connected to the Connecticut River. So the access to Connecticut River which is part of the plan of conservation, would be completed. We would have that that land to be able to do that when and if it was available to do that project. And we have some thoughts on how that could work as well. Rick Shars and I have been working on that with Susan and other people from the state to see, in fact, if we can work out some type of access to the river for non-motorized vehicles. So that is where it is so far. I think it should go quickly. Right now, the people are meeting that deal with the survey and the legal part as far as the easement goes. So all those documents that need to be accurate and need to be agreed upon, not only by us, but also the Exchange Club, should be ready within a week or two, with a hope that we can go to a public hearing by the next Board of Selectmen meeting, or maybe the one after that. If there's any questions on that, I'll answer as many as I can. I know Susan could do the same. But if anybody has any questions on that land swap, I'm glad that we're getting a lot closer than what we were a year ago. And I think that maybe within a few weeks, we should be able to complete that, that swap. Anybody have a question?
I will just add a procedural matter, and that is that there will be 4 selectmen that will be working on this and voting on it. 3 of us are members of the Exchange Club, so we will not. We will be recusing ourselves. And that's why I've asked Lou to take the lead on this, because Rick Shar, myself, and Ralph Zampano are members of the Exchange Club. So I had gotten an opinion from the Ethics Commission, and they recommended that we not participate in that vote. But procedurally, what has to happen by state statute when you do something with town land is that you do have to have at least a town public hearing. And that would be noticed in the newspapers, and people would be able to comment on their opinion associated with this swap. So Lou will be running that public hearing with the other selectmen. And then once the public hearing is closed, then it would go to a vote of the Board of Selectmen, of which there would be 4 members. And as you know, for any motion to be effective, all 4 would have to vote in the affirmative. So that's why we're trying to be very careful in getting all this information for you ahead of time and making certain that the land surveyor says it's correct, and that our attorneys, both from the Exchange Club and the town of Portland, are saying that it's correctly done. So with that, I'll open it up for, I don't know if Rick, if you had a couple comments you wanted to make?
No, not, I've been following it along, Susan, and I think Lou's been doing a great job. And I'm anxious to see it get done, and I look forward to it getting done. And hopefully then we can maybe move forward with really pursuing the river access point. I also think it'll be an asset if we, for the test wells that we're going to be doing in that area on town land, that I really think, whether we have river access or not, that it's the right move for the town to do the swap with the Exchange Club, and then we kind of can control our destiny there to the town land. So everybody's doing a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Anybody else?
I was going to say thanks for the update on this. This is an issue. I mean, we've been working on this for a long time now, and it's good to see it moving forward. It'll be nice for us to kind of have a little bit more control over our access to the property that we own along the river there. So nice to see it moving forward.
Yep. And I also want to thank the Portland Exchange Club for working so closely with the town and seeing that both of our organizations, our entities, are served well. So thank you, Portland Exchange Club, as well. The next item is appointments to boards and commissions. Are there any appointments tonight?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. We'll look forward to making some at our next meeting. And under new business, I just wanted to make certain that you all had received previous to today the monthly budget report that we had shared with you. We're sharing these online with the selectmen since we're not meeting in person. And we sent out, thank you to Tom Robinson, we sent out the report as of August 31 to you today. But I know that Tom had made the report available a few weeks ago and just wanted to give you an opportunity if there was any questions you may have on that. And if it's not tonight, please feel free to give Tom a call or have them ready for the next time we meet. Tom, you have any comments or you're all set?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question for Tom.
Sure.
I remiss that I didn't look at this ahead of time. Matter of fact, I just copied it a few minutes ago. But Tom, I'm curious, how's the tax revenue collection coming in?
Tax revenue collection was quite strong. We had about 15,261,000 come in so far to date on the current year. We had about 74,000 on the prior year, and interest and liens of about 15,000. Supplemental tax, motor vehicle doesn't come in yet. Prior year is a little lower than normal, but you know that takes some time, and as well as you know, during this time period, we haven't really done any type of a tax sale situation or things like that as everyone's working through the pandemic. With the tax collections on the current, that's a strong, I think it's a strong percentage in there with only 46% remaining for the year. We have another big collection period in January, and then collections obviously come in throughout the year as well, monthly. So that was good. The other area that's been showing, you know, signs of strong progress was the town clerk's office. A lot of sales of homes, strong conveyance fees during the first 2 months, strong recording fees, as well as copying fees for their items that they have online that we generate revenue for. So those areas we're showing some strong areas, and that's hopefully that gives you information that you need, Rick.
Yeah, I was mainly concerned with, do you feel that given the you know, the virus and the situation we've been going through, that the collections are holding up well, and I take it from what you're saying, they're really not too far behind what previous years have been?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a strong showing. I think that the individuals made the payments. We budgeted $20,428,000. We received $15,261,000.
Yeah.
You know, so that's, you know, you might be concerned more if you were, you know, above the 50%, you know, but you're not here.
Yeah.
So that's good. You know, we're always, you know, it's always, you know, we just continue to watch the numbers as they come in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll go on to number 9, status and committee reports.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I have a couple. One I would say is that a few of us got an opportunity to attend the, I guess you call the ribbon cutting of the library project coming to a successful completion. So we had an opportunity to walk around inside and see the new construction changes that were made, the new rugs, the new furniture, the new lighting that we were able to take advantage of with that LED work. It's really looking good. So it was nice at a time, doing an opportunity for the library to open up as well this week. So it was nice to see, having been part of the discussions on it for the last couple of years. It's nice to see again another project come to completion. So it was nice. With regards to the park, I know we've had conversation about the splash pad. Right now, we're actually waiting for a couple of pieces, replacement pieces, to come in for the splash pad, and that's kind of where we're in a holding pattern. Unfortunately, it just fell the way it did, and we didn't get the opportunity to make use of it in the core heat of the summer, but hopefully they'll be able to get those pieces in, and we'll be able to move forward with another piece of the facility that will be really good. I will note that I did send all of you a thank you that I would like to send out to the River East. I haven't got any comments, so I'll assume that's a good sign that people are on board with what I had written up. So, so I will submit that for next week, so it'll go in on next Friday as an editorial. Just thanking everyone that really was part of that project.
Oh, Ralph, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
First, I thought your write-up was fine, so well done.
Thanks.
Do you expect to have the splash pad operational before the end of the season, which is not too far away, but...
Yeah, again, you're saying the end of the season. I mean, really, we're kind of, we got 2 more weeks and we're kind of at the end of the season. So
yeah.
Really at this point, it's probably just to make sure it functions properly and that it's working as expected. And
okay.
We'll have to just, look forward to getting a full year's use of it next year. I don't know, maybe we squeeze out a couple weeks and it's, gets in the high 80s and people get to test it out in September. We'll just have to see how it falls. So, yeah, and unfortunately, the delay we had in doing that programming pushed it in well into the summer. And then if there was any bumps that you hit, it kind of hurt us. And unfortunately, that's kind of what you countered. So,
is this from the Canadian company? Is this the parts that were coming from Quebec, or? I remember, I thought you said there at one meeting that we were waiting for parts from Canada and the border was closed.
We were actually, the thing from Canada was we were really waiting for the personnel to be engaged with doing the programming of the controllers that control all the sophisticated system that we put together. That's what it was. It wasn't parts. Unfortunately, now it ends up being that we are waiting for a couple parts. But I'll be quite honest with you, I'm not sure if those parts are coming from based in Canada or the U.S. I honestly don't know, but we're waiting for them to come in. So
yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Jim, did you have a report?
I do. I was going to talk. Just last night, the Board of Ed had a very long, basically about a 5-hour meeting. They finally finished up at around 11 o'clock last night.